Hey folks, we're live here on the Totally Uncensored, and we had a little technical difficulties. I have no idea what's going on with StreamYard. I've had issues with it the last couple of times we've used it. Uh, Mick Hayes is on his way in. He was just with me a minute ago, and he was having issues hearing me. So he'll be coming back in 2 minutes. If you give us 2 minutes here, Mick Hayes will be back with us. I'm checking my phone. We're having a little technical difficulties, and we will be back with you here. Let me see if he sent me a message or anything. Um, he was just with me, and he's logging in all over again. So he should be here any second. Uh, we're trying this once again. I have scheduled Tony Holiday on Monday, and next Friday we have Vanessa Collier will be with us as we will be interviewing her. We got Mick Hayes coming in, and thanks, Ed. We'll be discussing COVID-19 today. There he is. Let's see if we got a volume. Hopefully he can hear me. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, finally.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here he is, Mr. Mick Hayes with us on Totally Uncensored. How you doing, my friend?
I'm ready to be totally uncensored. especially about this stupid technology, man.
Hey, we were turned on by a guy. I was turned on to you by a guy that definitely totally uncensored, huh? Justin Headley.
Yes,
you gotta love Justin. He's one of my kids, I call him.
Oh,
I've been dealing with Justin for years. I've known Justin since I want to say 90s.
Oh, yeah?
In Tampa, when he was playing at the Green One at the bars up in Tampa.
I've known him since the early 2000s.
Now you're from New York?
Yeah, Buffalo, New York.
In Buffalo, New York. So how do you feel about that whole no live entertainment up there in the state of New York, huh?
Well, it's kind of bittersweet. First thing first is, everyone's like, oh, this is the worst time in the history of music to release music. And I'm like, I actually think it's the best time in history to release music to get people to actually listen to it. Like, I've put out an album that is, it's got either a 3 or 4 piece horn section on it, and it's got 2 female backup singers, and to try to get that across, the room on a Friday night or Saturday night, wherever it may be in America, is a lot harder, and obviously more budget is required. So it's kind of nice to say, hey, tune in on Friday night and listen to my record. So I actually think that that's a positive at this point. Granted, I'm trying to be more positive, but I just did a 3-week promotional tour around the country, and it was impossible to try to get people to meet up and do even things like this. So I'm choosing my words wisely, but I actually
no need to.
Well, I'd rather at this point have
no need to, because
my record than try to, like I said, try to even pull it off with a 4-piece band right now. I don't think that would be right.
Because I'll tell you how I kind of feel about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big act. I speak on behalf of the musicians, for the musicians, because I truly respect you guys.
Thank you.
I respect the venues, the smaller venues that are being shut down left and right today. We have paid dues to all the larger organizations. We have paid our dues to the BMI, CSAT. All these guys have loaded their wallets from the musicians, anybody playing music. My question is this.
Yeah.
Why haven't they hired an attorney or a lobbyist to speak on behalf of the arts at Washington?
Well, I know that the Hall family here in Western New York is actually, they filed a class action lawsuit, as far as I know, against our governor, or the state of New York, so to speak. I don't know. I got to be honest with you, man. Since this is what we're doing today, I think people are just they'll get on social media, they'll complain about it, and that's about as far as it goes. Few people are willing to take the extra step. And partially myself included, because I don't know what to do other than take the stage and sing and play and have a good time. So the last thing to do is bone up on how to,
But I
fight.
don't think you should have to do that, because as a musician, you've paid your dues to have your music copywritten. You've paid your dues to blues foundations,
Yeah.
associations, and all kinds of dues that you've paid across the world. You've paid agents. You've paid people to handle your career in somewhat.
Mhm.
So somebody has made money off of Mick Hayes.
Yeah.
So why isn't that person contributing into a civil suit, like you said?
Yeah.
But instead of taking it locally, well, I think it needs to go to Washington, where we speak to Washington and
Yeah.
let them know musicians are dying today. The arts is dying slowly,
Yeah.
and everybody cares about whether a guy's making $10 million throwing a baseball,
Hmm.
but nobody cares if a musician's putting food on the table for his family.
Well, I agree, and all the other countries look to us at one time for music, and have, and it's American music culture, and here we are, probably. I mean, you hear musicians say it all the time, like nobody's made any more money in the bar scene since the '70s. So, I mean, that's kind of why I don't get involved in political arguments. I'm like, I can't tell you the last time a president got on any type of television and said, we need to support our arts, and we need to do this and that, and support our musicians. We are part of American culture, especially blues and roots music. Oh, that's just the way I feel about it. And I agree, man, something needs to be done, but I'm definitely not the person to do it, man. I'm only good at the little gift that I have, and that's about it.
And it's a good gift.
Well,
I
speaking of, see me throw a baseball.
I'm definitely enjoying the CD, and I am so grateful that Justin turned me on to it, because it's a great product. Tell the folks about it, your CD, where they can find it if they haven't heard it, they want to get a hold of it.
Sure.
Let them know, man, because it's amazing. Hey, I'll vouch for this one. This is a badass product.
Thank you, man. Well, I had to start my own record label. The process of this thing's been really unique. I pushed really hard on the industry back in 2009 and didn't get the results I wanted, and kind of just knew that I could stay afloat doing what I was already doing. So this is the first time I've tried really since 2009. And in that time, I think I released 4 or 5 albums. And this time around, when I had a finished record, and we recorded it at legendary Fame Studio. That was the dream come true part of it, because I grew up listening to. I had 3 different record collections growing up that were all hand-me-downs, and it was funny. I was the kid that would read the back of the liner notes, and even right now you can't see on camera, but I'm surrounded by records. I mean, here's a stack of 45s right now, and there's another stack behind that, and then on both sides of me, there's 33s. But, I would start to notice things from time to time. I would notice producers that were the same. I love this record and I love this record. And look, Rick Hall's on both of these. And these both were, recorded at Fame Studios. And that went for a lot of the major studios of that day. So when I had the opportunity to finally get there and do it, I did so. And I didn't bring any musicians from anywhere around the country. I used their local musicians, because those were the musicians I grew up listening to. And it's really cool because I can call all of them today friends, because I've spent so much time with them, and I've stood behind their work on my record, let alone the records that, like I said, that I grew up with. But when I came time to shop the record, I had a number in mind, and it was we didn't even get close to that number. And the record labels, the things that I was getting offered, I was like, man, what if I just do this on my own? So I found a distribution deal that I was really happy with. And they suggested that I start my own record label, which was the last thing I wanted to do. The absolute last thing I wanted to do was something else to promote, or call it what you will. But the last guy that basically told me, the last guy I talked to, I should say, he said, you know what, right now, man, I can't help you. And I was really bummed, because I wanted to be on that label. But he said, I can't help you. He goes, but what I can tell you is this music really moves the needle, man. And I was like, you know what? Pushed away from the desk, and I'm like, that's it. Move the needle music. There's my record label. Called up a lawyer, got all the paperwork in order, and I started Move the Needle Music. So that's the first place that you can find both my record and my CD, at Move the Needle Music. Part of the distribution deal was I also got representation with Amazon. So if you're an Amazon Prime junkie like I am, you can have it on your doorstep in 2 days. And also for overseas with Amazon International, I was able to circumvent the $20 cost of shipping something anywhere else in the world by distributing through Amazon International. And then after that, iTunes, and it's streaming everywhere.
Yeah, they had Amazon truck knocked on my door the other day to make sure I was okay because I hadn't ordered in a couple days. Hey, I'm a junkie to that stuff. They made it too easy. Growing up, who were some of your influences? I heard you say you got to play with some. Who were some of your influences in your music?
Well, the first song I ever learned, I was 7 years old, and I learned to play Cold Shot by Stevie Ray, which is interesting. You know, most kids learn, you know, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star and whatnot, you know, because of that. But my dad was a player and my mom was a player, and that was the kind of music that was around the house. So Stevie Ray I was force-fed Stevie Ray, and I mean force-fed. My dad's got him tattooed on both forearms. It was all that was played around the house, and there was a time in my life when I had to kind of back away from it because it was getting a little too much into my playing. And at that time, that's when I started really getting into those records. And I mean, anybody that was kind of on Stax that I had, anybody that was on, like I said, Fame labels or the early Atlantic stuff, all those artists, I do tend to kind of follow the path of record labels more so than specific artists.
But I would say you have you have your own sound is what I dug about it. I really, when I listen to the whole thing, I can't say, well, it reminds me of this.
Yeah.
It kind of, I dug it because it had its own sound.
Thank you.
That's what I dug about it so quickly. And as you notice, it's constantly on my playlist.
Thank you, man.
In the mornings. And I mean, it's got a good groove to it. Since COVID-19, I'm sure you haven't been able, like you said, you haven't been able to tour the album. It's been selling, though. People have been picking it up as you've been advertising it. It's hitting all the Roots ratings. A lot of DJs are playing it, so it's getting a lot of airplay.
I was picking them up literally when this happened. I was in Cleveland picking up the records, and my wife told me, she goes, "It looks like they're closing New York. You better get home." And it was like, okay, so canceled everything going forward, picked up the records and came home, and New York went into lockdown, I think 5 days later.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and it's exceptionally hard because I'm a vinyl guy, and this is my first ever vinyl record. You know, I'd released stuff on cassette when in the early 90s. I had released only CDs up to that point. So I was really excited that vinyl was kind of doing this comeback. And they're just sitting on a shelf down here in the Mick Hayes shipping and receiving department.
Yeah, I kind of did the same thing. I had set up my little station, and I had put out 2 turntables because I was planning on spinning live vinyl going into 2020. But all that got put to halt because nobody's shipping anything.
Yeah.
So I kind of put that on hold. While you're up there in Buffalo, do you know Tommy Z at all?
Oh yeah, Tommy and I were out in California together back
okay.
early 2000s.
So yeah, I'm sure he's spinning your record for you, right?
Yeah, I believe he played it a couple times on WBFO. Yeah.
Okay, good deal. That's all I was gonna go with it. What do you see for Mick Hayes coming into 2021 when that ball drops?
I'm staying ahead of it at this point, and it's I'm excited that there's so much energy around this release, and I'm going to stay in the front of that. And I'm actually going to cut probably two 7-inches next year, both at different studios. I kind of like at the moment the idea of getting aligning myself with famous recording studios for a couple of records here. The Fame record was supposed to be a 45. Actually, I don't know if you can see up there, but there's one of my favorite Fame 45s on display. But I was just going to do a 45 there. And when I went there on July 1st, 2 years ago, and we cut Parking Lot Romance and Ramona. And I got back to my hotel room that night, and I go, I can't end here. Oh, there was no way it could end there. It was just too much chemistry among the players. It was too much vibe in the town. And I really, for a sense of belonging for a moment, that was it. And I went right back a couple months later and cut 5 more. And then I went back and cut more. And next thing I knew, we had a full album. So
Parking Lot Romance is one of my favorites.
Thank you.
Hey, when you went into the studio and recorded this album, though, which was that one track on the project that you said, guys, we got a hit here?
Um, Totally Uncensored.
Yes. Yeah, totally
I'm a bad
uncensored.
judge of that. I'm a bad judge of that. I actually put together a focus group, or we'll call it a market test group. And I picked age ranges, mid 20s to mid 30s, mid 30s to mid 50s, or 40s, and mid 40s to mid 50s. And what I would have picked was more so what the younger generation picked. I thought personally that Ramona was the hit song, and actually Ramona's not anywhere near as far out in front as Hand Me Down 45s.
Okay.
Yeah, so I thought Ramona was that's it, that's the ticket. It was the song that made me think. I'm like, this is why it can't end here. We had everything sparking well in the session, and I'm like, that we're just going to have a lot of fun with this.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of play for Political Junkie,
Political funk, yeah.
Political Funk, and the Backseat Romance.
Well,
That's
political funk, I couldn't have timed that one any better, man. I swear.
no true. What when you're out on tour? What's your favorite song to perform to the that's like your energized song that you go get you in the mood song?
Hmm. Well, up until this, Parking Lot Romance was the one that seems to just kind of fall across all people. It's got a good dance beat. You can catch the hook quick enough. You can have fun. It's a fun one to play over as far as a guitar player goes, and it's a fun one to sing. So that was the one until this all happened. Going forward, I think I'll enjoy. And a lot of these songs haven't been performed live on stage yet, but I think I'll enjoy "Way Too Hard." I really like the way that one just kind of floats, and it's kind of a minor blues with an Albert King influence to it, but at the same time, it's a soul tune.
Right, right. What do you think is your pros and cons to the internet in the music industry today?
Mm. Um, the pros are nice because we can do something like this, and also because I can reach people so much easier than we used to be able to. I think that the cons outweigh the pros for me personally. I don't. What's the word I'm looking for here? I seem to really struggle with being able to connect under these circumstances. Like, I'm the guy that when the show's over, I'm out in the audience and I'm talking to somebody until it's time to officially load the stuff out and then go for breakfast and invite people for breakfast. Like, I like talking. I'm a people person, and we don't have that now. And the couple times the people have asked me to, do like live performances and stuff like that, and it's equally as awkward because there's no give and take. There's no feedback. I don't, when someone goes woo, I'm like, I play into that.
Yeah, no doubt. I think I have watched one. It was just the other day. I watched one episode of somebody live on social media. I've stayed away from it just because there's no connection.
At
But I
all.
watched one with Daniel Nicole,
Uh-huh.
and she had a really good one on Instagram the other day. There was for some reason there was a big connection with it. You could see it,
Yeah.
not personally, but
Yeah.
you could see that she was connected to the camera, and it reflected. You could see the reflection. But on most of it, it's just. I think Betty Fox said it the best. She's no, not Betty Fox. Hurricane Ruth told me the other day. When you're doing these virtual shows, you can't feel the kick drum behind you,
Right.
so you really can't get the energy into your show. So they're kind of like flatlined.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even so, like, I was watching old Freddie King footage the other day and they had him in like it was like in a studio, like a TV studio, and even then they brought in 30, 40, 50 people, however many it was, just to give some reaction. And that's the way it should be. Like, when people used to ask me to do morning shows and stuff like that, it's like, it's so dry and weird. And I don't think it's got anything to do with the drinking aspect of it or the party aspect of it. It's just like, this is something we do either for ourselves or it's something we do for people. I really don't think that there's anything.
I just think it's the whole energy thing.
Yeah, yeah. But it breaks my heart, man. It does. Oh, I wish I had
Go,
something positive.
Going into the future now,
Yeah.
if you were gonna collaborate with a musician, What musician would you like, or which musicians would you like to collaborate with going forth?
Man, I've got my sights set on quite a few. There's a song that I'm going to be recording here in the future, and it's called "Like That." And no matter how many times I listen back to the demo, I'm like, it's got to have Michael McDonald, man. It's got to have Michael McDonald. Like, he'd be the perfect counterpart at this.
I I tell you, I listened to your song and your vocals, and if you didn't know better, I would love to have seen. I mean, it's too late now; he's gone. I
Mm.
would have loved to have seen you with Lucky Peterson.
Oh man, Lucky. Well, Lucky's a Buffalo guy too, right?
And but your vibe is like
Yeah.
right in there, man. That's what I compare it to.
Yeah, I would have loved to have played with Lucky, and actually, I know that there were a couple times that he came through Buffalo, and I would see him play in Buffalo, and there's that little kid who was just standing there in awe, So yeah, but I mean, as far as people that I want to work with in the future, man, I've got so many talented friends, including right up to and including Justin. It's like I'd love to record and play with those guys, but the internet should make it easier. But there's something different too about guys all being in the same room, and that was one thing with this recording. I'm like, let's make this record together. Let's all get in the room and dive in and really.
Yeah, it's some of this. I showed you a stack of CDs that I got over here that I just picked up in the mail. I
Mm,
probably have about 30 CDs there,
mm,
and so many of them are generated through GarageBand today, and you could tell the difference.
yeah,
It's
I can
there's,
too, man.
there's no and I'm feeling that some producers are not capturing the true energy. Like in your album, you could hear the grit in your voice. You could hear the emotion, and you transfer that through your album when you listen to it.
Yeah,
A lot of these cats that are out there recording, they're just recording a project to sell more CDs to get it going, and
yeah,
they're barely finishing one when they're trying to work on the next one.
right. Well,
Um,
again, I'll get totally uncensored on that one. Most people don't want to even go as far as get a producer. And the one thing with this record that I did was I cut no corners. Um, the thing with recording at Muscle Shoals, especially with guys like Bob Ray, Clayton Ivey, and Vinny, all those guys on the record, they all have great input. They all have great insight because they've all done amazing things long before I was even thinking about working with them. So if they gave me feedback in a session, that feedback's on the record somewhere, wherever it may be. But the rest of the time, as far as producing it goes, the guy that produced it is the guy that listened to all those records for years. So the thing I had to do was just kind of get out of the way and let it happen. And one of the things I'd like to say that, like, a producer at this point, for my liking and my tastes, a producer knows more about hiring the right guys than getting guys that do this thing to do that thing, or that can't do this thing to do that thing. Like, so I made sure I wanted the right guys on this record.
yeah,
But
you got to have a producer at hand that, as you're charting and you're arranging your music, if something's not sounding right, he needs to speak up and be vocal.
right.
and
Oh yeah.
and let you hear it. Well, let me let you listen to it this way versus what you're doing,
Yeah.
and give you that option to correct what you've done.
Yeah. Well, for instance, so Clayton Ivey playing keys. I mean, Clayton Ivey, I've been listening to since I got my Willie Hightower record, "Walk a Mile in My Shoes." So it's like the fact that Clayton was playing while I was in the control room, or while I was on the cutting room floor, or whatever it was. I didn't have to produce him because I knew he was the right guy for the job. You know what I mean? There are other piano players in that town, but that's who I wanted. There's other piano players I can get down from Nashville, but I knew who I wanted for that job. And I thought that was a big part of it. And I'm not patting myself on the back when I say that. What I'm saying is, I think that that's a big part of being a producer today, is hiring the right guys for the job. Now, if I had the opportunity to work with Michael McDonald, like you had asked, and Michael was like, "Yeah, I'll record it at my home studio. Don't worry about it." I'd be like, "No, man, I want to meet you, and I want to sit with you, and I want to work with you, and I want to come away with something, and I want to leave you with something from me too." And that's kind of why I don't like the whole recording over the internet thing and recording at home. And it is what it is.
No, I think you could tell the difference in the product also.
Yeah, me too.
You definitely can. It's how did we say, it's either a studio cut or a raw live cut,
Hmm.
in a room. But I think a lot of these producers are depending on garage bands and electric music, and not taking the time to really lay it down the way it should be.
And that goes for mix engineer, and that goes for studio engineer and mastering engineer. I think that those are each people who will bring something to your project, whether it's a band or not. But each of those people are going to bring something to the table, and you should allow them to do so. And for a guy who still reads liner notes, I went off of the last two Doyle Bramhall albums, and there was one name that kept coming that I kept seeing was Keen Riordan. Keen Riordan. So I contacted him and I said, "Hey man, I love your work on the Doyle Bramhall albums. Realistically, would you consider mixing a record for me?" And then Keen led to Brian Lucy, who also mastered both of those records. And Brian, I asked him flat out. I said, Brian, he had mastered the Muscle Shoals record that the Black Keys did. And I said, "Have you ever mastered a record out of Fame?" And he said, "No, I don't think I have." And I knew I had him, And I'm like, "Well, now, would you consider working with me?" And then when it came time also to do a record to actually do the record, we did a separate mastering, which was another way of, adding something to that. And I went right to Chris Bellman at Bernie Grunman and added more cost to that, but I had a real vinyl lacquer cut.
I think what I truly enjoy about your sound is that it's outside of that. I guess 145 that the traditional blues police are saying it's what the blues is.
Yeah.
And I am the one guy that is totally anti blues police. If you notice, my big quote is, "I'm breaking the rules. I play what I want. It's blues infused music."
Yeah.
And you've evolved it to that level. I truly think you're on the right path.
Thank you.
I see nothing but positives in your career. I definitely became a fan, and I'm going to definitely follow. See what's coming up next, man.
Well, blues is a feeling. It shouldn't be a format. You know what I mean?
There you go.
Albert King said it. Yeah, that's the T-shirt and the bumper sticker, right? But Albert
Okay.
King says that right in Live Wire Blues Power. It ain't the Reds, it's the Pinks.
Right.
It ain't the Reds, it ain't the Pinks. It's the old-fashioned country blues. And it's like, man, it's a feeling. You go back and take the music away from all those songs and just read the lyrics, and some of that, like that's dope. That's the feeling.
Yep. It's what you feel here in your heart that tells you what the blues is to me. Um, I just I'm just tired of them saying, that's rock and roll, that's not blues, or that's country, that's not blues. And I think who kind of put them in their place. And I think it was Samantha Fish a few years ago when she came out with a couple CDs back to back,
Mhm.
and left people with a big argument whether it was country or blues.
Right. Yeah.
But there's no staple when it's good music, though. Let's just let it be good music, and that's what you're bringing to the table is good music.
Thank you, man.
Let's see what we got here for you. If there was one thing you were going to change now in the music industry,
Yeah.
what would you like to change
In the actual industry,
in the industry?
I think I think record labels, for one thing, need to kind of realize how important they were at one time, as far as like branding aspect of it. Like you can buy anything off of, and of course, now I'm on the spot, but oh yeah, here we go. Here we go, Lou. High Records, right? Whoops.
Mm-hmm. Hello, you there? Oh, he must have hit a button. We'll get him back. We'll get him back, folks. He was going to show us something about getting high on a record.
No, no. Anything on High Records.
I think we were going to get us high on a record. I don't know.
No,
I got
man.
lost for a moment.
It's all like you could buy that record and it would guarantee that it was good. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And the same for those like labels like that, you could trust that and follow their path and find other great artists. So I think
it's kind of what we were saying earlier, that the artists are just getting in there and pumping music out,
Yeah.
and not taking their time And today's music, do we really have time? I call it timeless music,
Mhm.
where we could still pick up an old Robert Johnson song and listen to it. We could pick
Yeah.
up a Muddy Waters song and listen to it. Willie Dixon, Hubert Sumlin, some of those greats,
Yeah.
and listen to them, and we'll learn something from it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Who's doing that today? You know what I mean? And in 50 years from now, are people going to be listening to some of this music that's being produced today?
Well, God, I hope so. And I'll tell you why. One of my soapbox stories is I've got an old Huey Piano Smith record, 45. The song is called High Blood Pressure. Okay. And it's just one of those, just a cool, like late 50s kind of a soul-ish blues tune, good dance tune. That record outlived the artist. That record outlived the record label. It survived disco. It survived 8-track. It survived cassette, CD, and here we are again through digital streaming. And today I could play that record for you, and I would elbow you in the ribs and go, "Do you hear that, Lou? Do you hear
Yeah,
that?" It's
that's exactly what I'm trying to say, though. We don't have, there's not a lot of that.
That's why I
Um,
did what I did. That's the
I
only.
love the fact that you brought in the horns.
Yeah,
I'm a fanatic for the horns.
me
I love
too.
the horns. It just adds that whole different uh, jive to the song.
That's it.
Um, your vocals are great.
Thank
It's a great product, folks. And I'll sell it. Say it again. I'll sell it for you. Go out Amazon.com. Mick Hayes. Check it out, folks.
you. Yeah, thank you.
It's the real deal, man.
Yeah,
I totally dig it 100%.
yeah.
If Justin done anything right, was turn me on to your music.
I love that guy, man.
Justin's a great dude, man. Justin will tell you. I don't know if he told you any of our stories. We've had some good times,
Oh,
man.
I would imagine so.
We did a show. About a year and a half ago. It
Oh,
was the lineup. The lineup was Damon Fowler,
yeah.
Albert Castilla, Jason Ritchie, and Shawn Davis and the Black Ties.
Really?
And the party in the back was ridiculous.
I can only imagine, man. The night we met, I think I opened a bottle, a single barrel Jack Daniels, and that bottle was gone probably in the.
Oh yeah, no, that was a tease.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun that night, and that's a fun story actually. There was a guy in Peachtree City, Georgia, and I don't, of course I'm going to forget his name, but he used to basically give bands pickup gigs. They had an old abandoned like a airplane hangar at the end of the runway, and they just renovated it. And they put like bedrooms in there and
That's cool shit.
stage and all that stuff. And I was living in Tyrone, which was the next town over. So if I wasn't playing, I would go there and kind of hang out with whoever. And it was a place where I met a lot of these guys that I call my friends today. And that's actually where we first met.
Yeah.
And not too long after I moved back here to Buffalo. And then when Justin would come to Buffalo, I would go basically terrorize him with a good time.
It doesn't take much to terrorize him with a good time either. He's ready to roll. What has been the biggest problem that you've had to overcome in the music business?
Other than the play something we can dance to, girl, or play something we know. Now the biggest
Freebird, can you play Freebird?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I know we got enough reverb. I tell them, thank you very much.
Yeah.
That's the
What's
only
his name?
Freebird.
Eric Tesmer. Have you met Eric?
No, I haven't met him. No.
Hey, I met Eric Tesmer at a show, and as I was talking to him, somebody asked him, "Can you play Freebird for me?"
Yeah.
He goes, "Here, he goes, this one's free.
The only Freebird you're gonna get tonight.
That's
Yeah.
a free one for you." And I just laughed my ass off. I said, "All right."
No,
You know,
the biggest obstacle for me at this point is staying full time, especially with everything that's going on right now. I put so much financial backing behind this record that it's like, wow, man, eventually the money is going to run out. And the last thing I want to do is have to, be stuffing my CD and Happy Meals while people are through the drive-in window or something. It's like, man.
well, that's kind of why I said what I said, that it's really a shame that some of these organizations that have been filling their pockets with our dues and us helping them out
Yeah.
have not stepped up and spoken on our behalf to the, I mean, for instance, the radio station, and I'm not saying it for any other reason, just in conversation.
Yeah.
We lost March 12th was the last show that we did.
Yeah.
March 13th, I lost all our sponsors for the
Mm,
station.
yeah.
So between my wife and I, we've kept the station on the air,
Yeah.
and occasionally we get a couple of sponsors that for the month or for the week and shit like that.
Yeah.
But when are we going to get back to normal?
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
man, I think that I posted it the other day. The thing today should be, how do we find balance instead of accept the new norm? Like, how do we restore balance? And I think that that's going to be a big thing for all of us, man. And I'm sorry you lost your sponsors. I hate when that stuff happens to good people, man. I really do.
you know,
And I'll help in any way I can, man.
no, man, just keep spreading. That's why I constantly post, and I just want people just to continue to pass that on. And as long as we can grow the listener base, and you know what, it's a brand. It'll come back someday.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm not in a hurry. That's um, basically shit happens.
yeah. Well,
You know,
I'm with you though, man. I think at this point, I'm going to stick it out. I don't think that there's going to be a as long as I can moment. I think it's just going to be a matter of adjusting. But I'll be like, when kind of things get back to normal, dude, I'm going to be hungrier than I ever have. Uh,
and it'll reflect in your music, hopefully.
well, the one thing I will say is the stuff I'm writing right now is really dark.
Just,
It's real blues, man.
as long as long as you promise me not to have a quarantine song.
No, I'm not going to have quarantine.
Oh my god! I tell musicians I get the CDs or I get the little MP3s on my Dropbox.
Yeah.
I don't even give it 2 minutes of my time.
No,
I don't. You will not hear on the station. You will not hear anything that has to do with COVID-19
Yeah.
or quarantine, lockdown blues. No, it ain't happening. It ain't happening, man.
No.
I will not subject myself to that.
I think everybody means well when they do something like that, but at the same time, they're also looking for that. It's almost like a get rich quick scheme. It's like, how can I go viral? I know, I'll write a song about what's going on in the world right now.
If I stood up right now,
Yeah.
it would go viral.
Ah! Well, I had one kind of hanging in the lurch that, and I call myself a songwriter because that's the way I'd like to view myself. But the funny part about, approaching somebody, be like, hey, I got a song for you. And it's like, well, who are you? That kind of everyone gives you like, well, who the hell are you? And what have you done that I should listen to you kind of thing? Which I will say, and this is just a side note, years ago, Michael Burks was actually a total sweetheart. And he listened to a couple songs I had written for intention for somebody else. And he was probably actually the only guy I can think of today that said, yeah, man, let me hear what you got. But I wrote a song called So Am I, which was basically just about fear. And it just doesn't fit my catalog at all. I decided, in the first month of lockdown, I'm like, well, I'm just going to put it together and put it out there. And I didn't make it any real heavy message, but I put at the end of it, like, this song's dedicated to those of you that are affected by COVID-19. So before anybody says that I'm a hypocrite based on what I just said, it's like there's times it's like, man, there was just so much that I've got written that it's like it doesn't fit me. I got to put something out,
I've said this story. I mean, March 12th, I did my last show.
Yeah.
Was with Walter Trout because through the radio station. I don't know. You've seen. I promote shows.
Oh yeah.
And I'll do a show once a month or once every 2 months through the radio station, and I try and fund the station that way. But my last show was Walter Trout back in March.
Right.
And March 13th, I usually do a big festival in South Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Well, an hour before the festival, they canceled it. The city they took the permit away an hour before the festival, and I came home and I said to my wife, "That's it, it's done."
Yeah.
And sure enough, it's been done since.
That's too bad, man.
We just did I think the new norm, like we said, though, I just did a drive-in concert, and it was, I would say, 99% socially distanced. You had your one, two person that tried to push buttons, and they were asked to leave immediately. But it's for now. I don't think it's gonna go anywhere. Drive-in concert, I think, is gonna be a way of the future.
Well, and I said this, and of course this will spark some debate, but on that 3 week trip that I did, basically, that was 7 states and over 3,000 miles. In the when I by the time I came home, and here in New York, we had to do 14-day quarantine, and I kind of just sat in my pajamas in my backyard drinking coffee for 14 days. And my wife was like, how do you feel, and what did you see, and kind of evaluating everything that I just went through. And I said, I'm not a conspiracy theorist guy at all, but the thing that I didn't see, or the thing I expected to see, I didn't see. All I just saw was like bare streets, and just some of the stuff was really crazy. And like we went to 12 South Tap Room in Nashville, okay? And there's three of us all standing around, just kind of, shooting a breeze and waiting for our table, which was outside, and we had to, and when they told us our table was ready, we had to pull our masks up and walk up a wooden ramp, which was like, a handicap ramp, which couldn't have been anything more than 6-8 yards, and then turn the corner of the railing, and they gave us the first table where we could sit down and pull our masks down. And I was like, I said to all my friends, I'm like, anybody else see this? I'm like, it's just so weird that.
And it is. It's like here in Florida,
Yeah.
where I live, we have to wear a mask. It's mandated to wear a mask to walk into the restaurant.
Right.
But once you walk into the restaurant and you're seated, you can take your mask off.
It doesn't make any sense. Like COVID-19 is only going to get you on the way to the door and on your way to the bathroom, but the rest of the time it's going to leave you alone.
Yeah, it's going to leave you alone. I started my own movement. I call it defund the media.
Yeah, I saw that, man.
And I stand by that one. I've been pressing it. I had on the big concert that I just did this past week, and I had a big T-shirt. It was written all over it, defund the media.
Well, like I said, that's that thing. I expected they put pull into towns and see zombie culture, and it's the complete opposite. It's like Nashville looks the same. It's just not as busy.
It was funny because a bunch of police officers that were there at the concert, parking for us.
Yeah,
they all grabbed me, wanted to take pictures with me because they said defund the media instead. So they loved it.
Yeah, I'm with you on it, man. And that kind of goes back to what you were asking about the internet and stuff like that. I think that it's just gone way too far. And I said this on a David Bellavia show the other day. I'm like, I can't believe the reason why I wrote Political Funk is I'd wake up in the morning and I have the luxury, Lou. My luxury is listening to dusty old records, and that's called studying. You know what I mean? So I wake up in the morning and I put on a record and I or I'll put on some music or whatever it may be, and I'll kind of tune in and see what's going on in the world. That's me as a songwriter. And I couldn't believe that somebody else rolled out of bed and they're like, "Did you see what this?" And they're angry typing, and it's like, so I attended this. It was like a social media seminar, online one, and everybody was asking all these crazy questions and this and that. And the guy was trying to avoid I think he was trying to avoid what needed to be said based on the politics involved in the company he was representing. So I just said it for him, and I said, we're in such a political climate. You can get on social media today and just type this. Did you see what our president did today? And don't lean one way or the other. Just say, did you see what he did today? And they will both show up and kill each other in the comments. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, no doubt. I posted something. I forgot what it was, but it said, "This is for entertainment purposes only."
Yeah.
And people were just going at it.
I like, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to make a political post every day just to draw attention to what I'm doing and throw in Mick Hayes commercials? Like, it doesn't.
Honestly, I am afraid of what's going to happen in November.
Well, that's funny you say that, because that's like my post for next Monday morning. How many people say that to me? They're like, "Oh man, you think it's bad now? Just wait till November."
Wait till November.
So now is the time to do something. If that's the case, now's the time to do something. And I don't mean write some hippie song about how we got to all love each other. I think now is the time to do something. Do I have the answer for that? No, that goes back to
right.
but
I going back to what you said you do in the mornings. Basically, what I do every morning, I come in here, I pour my cup of coffee, and I pick my playlist for the day, and I listen to songs. And I say this one yes, this one no. Well, I played this one yesterday. I don't care. I like it. I'll play it again, and that's it.
And we love you for it, man. Thank you.
And that's all I can do. That's all my input into the music game. Because if you ask me to play an instrument, you're in trouble. I got a one-string guitar.
Yeah.
And I tried a 2-string guitar and I almost amputated a finger. I'm not a musician at all. Man, I look forward to getting you down to Florida.
I'd love to. It's been
I look forward to seeing you down here. When you're down here in Florida, we're definitely going to get you into a show. I think we're looking at March, April. That's what I'm thinking.
I'm actually not doing anything till April. I said that on an interview I did a couple of weeks ago. I said, you know what, man, I think I just decided right here on the air, I'm not doing anything till April. Up here in the Northeast, in the first place, there's not much to do between October, basically the end of October and April 1st in the first place. There's a couple winter festivals, and man, there's one that I do in Pennsylvania. It's a pretty cool winter and blues festival, but last year they didn't do it because of funding, and that'll probably be the same case this year, unfortunately. But I mean, there's a couple of gigs like that, but man, those gigs like driving home in a snowstorm, that sucks, man.
Do you know Paul Benjamin at all?
Uh-uh.
Remind me to Monday, give me a call. I'm gonna give you his info.
Yeah.
He does the big North Atlantic blues festivals and stuff up there in Rockland, Maine, in that area.
Yeah.
And I think he'd be interested in your music.
I'd love that, man.
Because he's always looking for that next big act.
Yeah, we really lost. That's one thing I'll say about this is we've lost that rhythm of places that'll have you back every year or every other year, and I'm sure that. And on top of that, I think the budgets are going to be different next time around too.
Oh yeah,
budgets are. And if we stay at these 50% capacity things, that's going to be another issue.
I just went at it. I wanted to climb through the phone. I just went on it with an agency that claims they have all the cool kids. I'm not going to mention their name, but their claim to fame is they have all the cool kids on their label.
Yeah,
and they still want to charge pre-COVID pricing.
Yeah.
And I said, well, you know what? I'll give them pre-COVID pricing, or they're going to take half the what do you call it? Have to gamble with me.
All right.
Nobody's going to show up.
I don't know what's going to happen with that, man.
It's just a bad time right now, and that's why I really feel that somebody should speak up on behalf of the arts. I'm really sold on it. I'm selling that to you. I'm saying it here, and I'll be saying it later on. I'm talking to a big network later, and that's part of my interview. And that's kind of my statement that somebody needs to step up on behalf of the arts.
Yeah,
it can't be me.
No, I don't think it should be you or me.
It can't be me. Washington will eat me up. I'm not that guy.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely not that guy. I'm good at only being me, and that's it. And I know that that's not something I'm good at.
But a good spokesperson on behalf of the arts is needed.
Yeah,
I really believe that something needs to be done in the fact that if they're allowing sports. If they're allowing these guys that like football is allowed 20% in a stadium.
Yeah.
Well, they can't have 60,000 people, but they can still bring in 30,000 people, 20,000 people into a stadium. That's a good freaking crowd.
Well, look at the double standard right now for the MTV Awards in New York City. You've seen that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a whole nother. It's like, okay, all right. At this point now, I'm like, okay, so now I might lean towards conspiracy if that were the case. Okay, so all these people, these high profile people, don't need to be tested. They don't need to walk around with masks. But if I go see my mom, my sister, or my friends, my relatives, I've got to. It's like, okay, you know. But like I said, man, I've got how many guitars I got in this room and everything else like that. Like, it's all going to waste in the person in me that says, like, how am I going to pay the bills next month? Like, I sold a guitar last week. That's the last thing I wanted to do. That's the last thing I wanted to do. However, I'm not going to say, would you like fries with that? And be stuffing, like I said, stuff and take out.
Yeah. No doubt. You know,
I'm not doing it, man.
No, you can't, and really can't. And like I told my wife, I said I'll figure out a way to do shows and stuff, and I'm working on different projects, but it's got to continue. The music's got to go on. You can't stop. We just got to figure it out and move forward.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Everything has a loophole.
Yeah, you've got my support, man. And I mean that not just because Justin introduced us and all that stuff, and because you've been playing my music and all that stuff. You've got my support because you have the drive to make a change. And whether that drive be only your voice at this point, then fine. It's far more than someone else who's, you know, just sitting there waiting for it to end so they can go back to.
I don't. I'm a big. I don't care for the tip jars, the virtual tip jars. I'm the Vimos and the begging and the GoFundMe's.
Yep.
When it first happened, it's funny because when it first happened, I did a GoFundMe.
Yeah.
For the station where I lost all the sponsors, and then I thought, well, I went out of my garage and I was moving stuff around in the garage, and I found a box of old T-shirts. Yeah. But it was funny that there was a misprint on the word internet. They left the R off. So it said internet. So I said to myself, well, you know what? People are going to dig that because they know my sense of humor.
Yeah.
So I said, instead of begging for money, what I did was I sold the T-shirts at $20 a pop.
Yeah.
You know, and that worked out fine for me.
Well, look,
I'm just not a GoFundMe guy.
Well, let's do the Totally Uncensored thing just for fun. So when it came time for me to put this record out, I knew it was going to be expensive. First off, it's basically a 9-piece band. It's 9-piece band times 10 songs. Even at $100 minimum, you can start doing the math there. And I knew I couldn't front that myself because, again, I'm a musician. Go to the bank and tell them you need a loan for $20,000.
Okay.
You know, yeah. So I was like, all right, so what am I going to do? And at that time, I think it was Pledge Music was under so much fight for they were taking money and not paying the artists with it. So I was like, so Pledge Music is out. I tried Kickstarter, and people were either not trusting a Kickstarter or whatever it was, but Kickstarter totally fell on its face. So I was like, how am I going to do this? So I decided to do digital pre-sale for any donation through GoFundMe. Like if you wanted to give,
that's fine though. I get that. That's
hang
perfect.
on. So here's the thing. So at the same time, I took out a loan to buy a guitar, which was nowhere near the loan I needed. So a provable loan to buy a guitar, and guys in my town actually went and completely tried to ruin my career because what I had done was, according to them, was take out a loan for guitar or go buy a guitar with the money that I raised from GoFundMe. But it was a whole year off. It's like, so I have to defend myself based on this. So I got on social media and I was like, I'm going to put up this angry post. And instead what I did was contact all my GoFundMe people because they were contacting them as well as some of my endorsing companies. And I told them, I said, you know, the rumor is that there's no record and that I went and bought a CD or I went and bought a guitar. I said, trust me, in a year from now, you know, there's a record and you're going to get it. And because you gave $5, $10, $1,000, it's all yours. And we're part of this together. It was like your investment towards me, and I'm doing this to try to make you proud of not only where I come from, but where I'm going. And you know what, man? I've said it before and I'll say it again. This has been the most well-received record I've put out, and it's because I didn't look back. When people were just bagging on me, and I agree with you, man. I wouldn't do no virtual tip jar, none of that stuff. I don't, none of it. But when I did GoFundMe, man, I was literally like, oh, it was like people were just bagging on me left and right. It's like, how else am I going to raise the money, dude?
But you did it with the pre-sale intention,
Yeah, oh yeah,
which is good. I've seen guys do GoFundMe because they're going to go into the studio and collect $20,000, 15, $20,000, go into the studio, record a CD, and
yeah.
then sell the CD to the same people who just helped you record it.
Well, and obviously I don't agree with that. But what I was going to say is the fine print in that is, and you get a copy of the record when it's out. You know what I mean? A digital presale copy. The headline says exactly what we see in media today. The headline says, "Yeah, did you hear that Mick Hayes is running a GoFundMe to put together a record? Well, what a jerk that guy is."
That I don't care
Read
for.
the fine print. If you give, then you will receive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't care for that.
Me too.
I just did a big concert this week, and it was totally free. Had about 9 bands donate their time, and they came in from all over the place to play. And the stage company donated a stage. The sound man donated sound.
Mhm.
Everything was donated. We took donations, and the donations went towards the property that it was on.
Right.
And everybody was happy. It worked out well. Some people at first were like, "We want to give the money to Lou." I'm like, "It don't matter where you put it. It's not coming to Lou."
Right.
And they had to understand that. I had to finally grab the microphone and say, "That guy that's running sound is doing it for free. So if we get any money left over, he's going to go to him."
Right.
But it's. I think if you explain it properly, people get it, and especially in the blues genre, it's a big family, and they're willing. They're all willing to work and help each other.
Yeah. Well,
But
someone got to put the music out. Otherwise, the music dies.
anyway, one more time so that the people know where to get your stuff, Mick. Let them know.
Yeah.
I'm going to put the camera on you 100% here. You talk
Okay.
to the fans.
Ah, there I am. Okay. So my music can be found at movetheneedlemusic.com, movetheneedlemusic.com. And you can buy my record and my CD there. If you're more comfortable buying it through Amazon, it's available through Amazon, both internationally and stateside. And last time I checked, it was still Prime eligible. After that, you're welcome to stream it on Apple Music, Amazon Music, and also on Spotify. And I think that's about it. It seems to be just like everywhere. That was one of the things I wanted.
All right, Mick. I want to thank you for your time, Mick. We're going to continue to spin your music. Obviously, we love it.
Thank you.
And anytime you want to talk to the station or want to do anything with us, feel free to give me a call, man.
Well, man, I
We're here.
appreciate you. What
We're
you
here
do.
for you.
Thank you so much, man. I mean, it means everything right now.
All right. Thank you for your time.
All right, man.
All right. All right, Mick. Thank you, my friend.
We'll talk. Thanks again.
Be good.
I know.
There you go, folks. Mick Hayes giving us some time. We went a little bit over with him, but a lot of great information from him. Get his CD. I'm sure you guys are going to like it. Sophie, look up Mick Hayes Band if you haven't found it. He's all over YouTube. You're really going to like the product. It's a great, great CD. I want to say thank you guys for stopping by. Monday, don't forget, Tony Holiday. Friday, we're going to have the great Vanessa Collier with us. Looking forward to Friday, sitting down and talking with Vanessa. For now, I want to say thank you guys. You guys behave. Have a great weekend. Peace out.